Taron at Phantasialand was the coaster that placed the park on the map for coaster enthusiasts all around the world. Everyone wanted to travel there and the hype was unreal. With the layout and theming, most people thought this would be the world's best coaster. But does it still live up to these expectations, and how good is it really? I initially didn't want to make a Taron review because there are already plenty of reviews out there, but then I noticed I have some things to say about this coaster that no other people have said. So logically I decided to make one. So this is my review of Taron at Phantasialand. I first rode this coaster in August 2021 when I did a 5-day German park tour with one of my friends. I only got 2 rides and overall was not really impressed with the ride. Then I got back to Phantasialand in October of the same year and a total of 11 rides. I ended up liking this coaster much more thanks to several re-rides in different rows and low wait times. So let's start off with the queue experience. So the queue is pretty nice, the first half at least. The second half is where my first problem with this coaster comes up. There is a huge gated off plaza with countless switchbacks going back and forth. This is the definition of what not to do with queue lines. For a park with this standard of detail and quality, this is honestly a big disappointment. If that plaza is open and the queue is full, you could wait up to 60 minutes. Sometimes the line even stretches out of the main queue line and has to be extended on the midway, which can make the queue grow as long as 80 minutes. Once you are at the end of the queue, however, you have the opportunity to wait for the front row or get assigned row 2 to 16. The station is designed very nicely and it really fits the medieval theme. Duh. The layout consists of 2 LSM launches, multiple quick transitions, turns and some decent airtime moments. So I'm quickly going to talk about sections that I really enjoy. Let's start with the pre-launch. You might think the pre-launch section isn't that special, but I really love how it builds up the anticipation of the first launch with its soundtrack. It's stuck in my head and I permanently get flashbacks every time I hear it. Next up I want to talk about the first airtime hill. This airtime hill provides some good flowjector airtime, which is not the strongest, but it doesn't need to be. It also has some good laterals on the exit, which is really cool, and it's my favorite airtime moment on this coaster. Another section I want to mention is this turn after going through the building. It has a really nice floater airtime feeling while going down, and I honestly enjoyed this moment much more than other people. Now I gotta talk about a section that is often disliked, even by myself. But after thinking about it a little bit more, I actually enjoy it for what I think its real purpose is. I'm of course talking about these S-turns before the second launch. While they feel kinda pointless, I think it's a great build-up for the second launch. Now I love the second launch, but the reason why I like it is not what you think. I don't like it because of the acceleration force, I like it because of the pure sense of speed you have. It feels like you're going so much faster than it actually is because of the trend you are in. I also really enjoy the vibrations of the LSMs during the acceleration. I don't know if you ever noticed these vibrations, but they are there and I don't know how to explain it, but I can definitely feel it and it makes the launch so good. The launch propels you up this steep inclined curve alongside the rock wall. It has some very awesome near misses. If you sit in the left seats, you might actually get hit by water that splashes down a waterfall. Now another underrated part I see nobody talk about, which is the second transition from a right hand turn to a left hand turn. This transition gives some great airtime all while being thrown to the other side. It's honestly very good and I don't know why so few people talk about it. The next part I want to mention is the Twisted Hill. I mean everyone loves it and it's a very good moment that needs no explanation. I also really enjoy the tunnel section right afterwards where it unbanks real quick and afterwards throws you into another fast twist. The helix that hugs the rock wall near the end of the ride is also pretty cool, both from a visual and force perspective. It has some decent forces that are not the most forceful, but you can definitely feel them. It also just looks cool when a train is running along the rock wall, both on-ride and off-ride. The finale is what many would consider disappointing due to the trim. Now, I am also not a fan of the trims, but honestly it's not too bad. The hill after the trim still gives a decent floater pop of airtime, and the final turn has some good forces, while the final transition is really snappy and has some great laterals to end the ride. Now we come to the question of which row and which seat is the best. To be completely honest, I enjoyed each ride equally as much, but of course the front is by far the best. The free and unobstructed view is really cool, especially on the launches. But if we don't take the visual standpoint into account, each row feels pretty similar. If I didn't wait for the front, I would honestly not care which row I get assigned. I didn't ride it in the very back, but I think second to last row doesn't really differ too much to the point where I would care. So the seats of the standard Intamin multi-launch coaster trains are very comfortable. They are equally as comfortable as the seats from Gerstlauer Infinity coasters and Mach launch coasters. This is how roller coaster seats should be. The Intamin lap bars are the best restraints in my opinion. They feel really free and really comfortable. But the reason why these are so good is they don't staple you during the ride. Once you pull them down and you leave the station, they don't get tighter, even on some really forceful moments. They lock into place if you left room, and that room will stay during the ride. This is one of the biggest reasons why I liked my October ride so much. The ride up let me have room, and these restraints stayed that way during the entire ride, which made the airtime and transitions that much better. Actually, I lied, sometimes they move just a little bit on forceful sections, but only by the slightest amount. I actually prefer the modern Intamin lap bars over the T-bar restraints. Now hear me out. On strong airtime moments, the T-bar restraints actually hurt because the force only gets distributed on a small area of your legs that have to absorb everything. The modern Intamin lap bar, however, has a larger area that covers more of your legs. Now because these lap bars are a little larger, it distributes the forces much more evenly across your legs. The airtime on Expedition G-Force sometimes is so strong that my legs really hurt during those strong negative G sections. So yeah, that is pretty much everything I have to say about Taron. I am pretty glad I ended up liking this coaster so much more than back in August. After all, it's a really fun ride and super re-rideable. The theming is also nearly perfect and it just looks so good. The trains and restraints are perfect and it makes the ride also very good. It has two good launches and some really good airtime moments and some pretty good transitions and turns. Now, I still think this ride is a little bit overrated, but I can now much more understand why people love this coaster so much. I personally still enjoy Fly a little bit more because that ride has no dead spots, a flawless theme and immersion, and a better overall experience with the whole queue, boarding and dark ride section. Taron though is pretty good for what it is, and I can't wait to ride it even more in the future and someday hopefully get night rides. Anyways, those were my thoughts of Taron at Phantasialand. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you like my other content and want to see more of it, make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss my future uploads. And with all that said and done, thank you all for watching. Swiss Coaster Enthusiast out.